discussion, then we agreed that since the department is the custodian of the Commissions Act, and all the work that commissions from time to time do administratively get supported by the department in many ways. It was agreed that such assets will be transferred to the department for management. And of course, given the nature of the commission, which was so generous in many ways compared to the other commissions that we have experienced in the country post-1994, there was an issue of, information, documents, and many materials that will have been, gathered during the course of that 4 years where more than $1 billion was spent. What we then decided to do administratively was to request the head of the secretariat of the commission at the end of the work of the commission, realizing the immense, and the magnitude of information that will have been around the work of the commission. So the report itself is voluminous, I think 4 volumes if I remember correctly. It doesn't begin to give a sense of the magnitude of the information that was collected during the course of the inquiry. So we requested the staff headed by Professor Musala to remain in what we call a residual mechanism. So the Zondo Commission has ended its work. There's no commission that exists now, and there's no secretariat of the commission that exists. The officials that worked in the secretariat are now officials of the department under the Public Service Act, and they continue to maintain, are supposed to maintain top secret clearances. But because we thought we shouldn't be reckless, we're not going to just say we have received the report, we must just, allow wherever the information has been lying, both digitally and physically, to be left unattended. Now, you'll recall that during the course of the commission, when the ID was proclaimed, there was an issue of ID getting access to some of the evidence and some of the materials that the commission will have collected. And that led to what we call Regulations 11. That regulated how the investigative directorate of the NPA will be able to access some of the information that will have been ventilated before the commission, or the investigators in the commission would have come across. Now, the end of the mandate of the commission by the submission of a report by the then Deputy Chief Justice of the President meant that as well Regulations 11 will no longer be in place. Now, what then transpired, which Professor Musala will provide some information in details, was some arrangements that were made to train officials in the NPA and the ID on how to access some of the information that is in the data center, that is also, available from the inquiry that the commission conducted. And as all of us know, the commission has recommendations, more than 100 and something recommendations. Some of the recommendations are institutional, recommendations for legislative strengthening, and others for further investigation of certain identified individuals with a view to conduct prosecutions. Now, as part of that process, Treasury had to transfer some capabilities linked to the data center where data is being managed digitally. And as you will understand, digital forensic center will require licenses, and Treasury, in some of the cases, they assisted us to procure the licenses, and we took responsibility upon those who have expired. Now, we, of course, have seen from the media that said that we have not renewed licenses. So that's the first area one will say is not true. Licenses have been renewed. There's one case that Prof. Musala will speak in detail about where there has not been a request for utilization of that area over a period of time. And just like anything else of us, if we don't start the engines of our car for a year, there will obviously be some challenges when we try to start it thereafter. We have gone out of our way to Kara to secure money, I think, to the tune of about 40 million, specifically for licenses and for the maintenance of the system itself. So any other suggestion that we allowed licenses to expire and they have not been renewed cannot be further from the truth. Now, given the nature of the information and us dealing with this matter without any precedent, there are laws, of course, governing information, and in the state we have the minimum information security standards that govern all of us in public service on how we manage information. So part of what we did to realize that there's a straddling in terms of the responsibility, that the department cannot just take responsibility on its own, particularly if Treasury has transferred some of the capabilities with the understanding that it is for use by the broader law enforcement agencies. So we engaged with the Department of State Security, the police, and the presidency on the general management of the information that will have emanated from the commission, and agreed on certain standards and protocols that will have to be followed for all the law enforcement agencies, SIU, FIC, DPCI, the ID Asset Forfeiture Unit in the NPA, to be treated equally in terms of the access to the information. And from the report that Prof. Musala will present, from that period when we set up the residual mechanism to manage these assets, the NPA, the ID, has been assisted in terms of access to any information that is required, that is linked to the Zondo Commission, to allegations of state capture. Now, Chair, in your framing, you mentioned hindering. I've never been given any information that I would have given to the minister or the deputy minister that there will be anyone or any official of the state or of the department that will have hindered the National Prosecution Authority, the ID, from accessing the information or data center. Any form of a request which is no longer governed by Regulations 11, there's no longer need for a subpoena or any form, but just to indicate and say, here's a matter we're dealing with, can we get information on 1, 2, 3? And some of the information, as will be presented as well, is not that it's exclusively available from, is exclusively part of what remained from the commission. Obviously, it will be information that could be procured or information that could be subpoenaed from different, entities or different institutions. There may have been delays in some of the cases, but any explanation we've always gotten is that either due to the process of going through the system, because the information is enormous. The magnitude of the information that is there, as what Professor Musala, as a specialist in data management, will explain, that is what we call, the data that is not arranged, is not classified in the sense that will be of help to anyone. So, of course, we have had different discussions with the NPA from time to time on how we improve what is called an access. But these are assets that we account for in terms of asset management in relation to the Public Finance Management Act, because state resources were spent in procuring some of these assets. Now, like I was saying, there's a protocol that we had agreed that for all law enforcement agencies have to follow in terms of making the request. We have never gotten a situation where specific information can be said to have been denied for whatever reason. Information is always provided. So I'll ask Prof. Musala just to give a further outline on some of the things and the processes that are being followed to assist law enforcement agencies in general, but the NPA and the ID in particular. And in terms of the information we have, you'll see that so far the NPA and the ID have enjoyed more assistance from the system than maybe any other for different, obviously, operational reasons, that the other agencies may not have been more focused. As we all know, that the ID was proclaimed specifically to deal with the matters that emanated from the commissions, including the commission on the allegations of state capture. Prof. Musa.
Can I have a mic with you?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. It is a privilege to be here, to have the opportunity.
Sorry, Prof. Members, can you hear him?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, proceed.
I understand, Chairperson. I do tend to start slow, but probably I'll get better with time. I just wanted to say that having worked with government for many years myself, been a DG some time ago, from when government started, I've always appreciated the opportunity to come and account to the Committee of Parliament. So thank you for having us here. The commitment to make access available to law enforcement agencies goes back to the time of the Commission itself. It was decided, I think it was 2020, as the DG has said, when the Commission was already, but was still in process, that those cases that were being completed must be allowed to access the information coming out of the Commission. And that's the reason for the amendment of Regulation 11. Regulation 11 was just one of the regulations of the Commission. It was specially amended by the chairperson of the Commission to not wait until the report of the Commission was completed or the Commission concluded. So the commitment starts there, and it's a collective commitment. It's a commitment, first and foremost, of the chairperson of the Commission himself. Following that, Chairperson, these are partly preliminary remarks, but some of them are woven into some of the slides that we have here. Following that, because the Secretariat of the Commission was very busy with the work of the Commission at that time, special training was afforded to members of the ID, investigators of the ID, in order to enable them not to have to rely too much on Commission staff, but to have direct access into the documentation and information that is completed, be able to work. A special space in the bigger forensic laboratory was created that would enable them to access the portfolios, the forensic portfolios in there, to work on that themselves. I'm saying that just to emphasize that we have said, even amongst ourselves, the NPA and ourselves, that we have an equal commitment to making sure that the law enforcement and the ID in particular has access to this information. This is important to state, particularly in the light of the media statements and stuff like that. That commitment is mutual between us and the NPA. We had in fact thought that we would have been able to do this and complete the things and problems and obstacles that we had encountered together, been able to do that without having to be here to say that either it's been done or it's not been done, and all of that kind of issue.